The reason why there were no attacks on Americans, as you said, from the date until I came into office, was because the commitment was made by President Trump. I will be out by May 1st. In the meantime, you agree not to attack any Americans. That was the deal. That's why no American was attacked.
This tragedy should never have taken place. It should never have happened, and it would not have happened if I were your president.
A little bit of he said there happening tonight. You're looking live actually almost 8 a.m. in Afghanistan. That is the airport there as flights continue to come and go. A live look as morning has dawned there and those evacuation efforts continue. You could see there President Biden and former President Trump exchanging accusations in the wake of the deadly attacks that claimed 13 service members' lives this morning. U.S. service members. Let's pick it up there with tonight's political panel. Former Biden campaign surrogate Kevin Walling and editor of All Israel News, Joel Rosenberg, author of the brand new book, Enemies and Allies, about the tense relationships in the Middle East. That's out September 7th. And former chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz. Thank you all for being with us.
Shannon, good to be with you.
I want to start by playing something the president said today about having to deal with Afghanistan and what could potentially be motivating them to, we hope, help us get our folks out.
No one trusts them. We're just counting on their self-interest to continue to generate their activities. And it's in their self-interest that we leave when we said, and that we get as many people out as we can.
Jason, is that enough for us to be able to trust them to get this done?
Well, now that we have 13 dead Marines, absolutely no. Do you fear Joe Biden? I don't think the enemy does. I think there are a lot of different factions there in Afghanistan that want to see death and destruction to the United States and Israel, by the way. I think it was a death trap. And you've got to lead with force. It's the Ronald Reagan adage. It's the Donald Trump approach that says peace through strength. How did you extract your military before you did the civilians and those carrying American passports? So, and then you have Joe Biden saying, well, you know, for 18 months under Donald Trump, nobody died, but, you know, I had to follow that plan, but I didn't follow that plan. It makes no sense. And it just makes you angry that we have 13 of our best Americans who lost their lives because that man didn't know how to be the president of the United States.
Well, and Joel, tomorrow he's going to have probably a somewhat tense conversation. Israel's new prime minister, where you live full-time now over in that region, is here in the U.S., was supposed to meet with the president today at the White House. Obviously, what happened today pushed that off. They're going to have a conversation tomorrow. But what is the impact? What is the worry, the concern from the Israelis now that they're watching what's happening play out in Afghanistan with respect to the U.S.?
Right. Well, this is a big challenge for our new Israeli Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett. He wants to have a spirit of cooperation. He wants to reset relations between Biden and Israel, which were strained under Netanyahu, even though Netanyahu did a great strategic job for Israel overall. The problem that Bennett sees is this, Shannon. If Joe Biden can't handle the Taliban, how is he going to stop Tehran from building nuclear weapons? If we show such weakness against the Taliban, that is not boding well for our larger strategic interests, not Israel, not the United States. And this is one of the main points I make in Enemies and Allies. To misunderstand the nature and threat of evil is to risk being blindsided by it. Joe Biden does not understand radical Islam. He got blindsided by the Taliban. Tehran is next, and that's what we all fear.
I want to play something from Congressman and veteran Dan Crenshaw today talking about that region and how we got here.
Every president since Bush has had to deal with this really difficult decision. Obama, Trump, but Biden's the only one who really followed through with the stupidest possible option. And now we're paying in blood for it. There's still ways to reverse course on this.
So, Kevin, I think that there's polling shows the vast majority of Americans wanted us out. They wanted U.S. forces out of Afghanistan, thought it was time to wrap this up. The president keeps making that case. And I think, listen, he's preaching to the choir. People agree with him. But how this has unfolded, the decisions that were made, it still sounds like he's having a difficult time accepting responsibility for it. He'll say, I accept this happens on my watch, it's responsibility. But then we hear about the military told me to do this, so I went with it. Or the Trump administration made bad decisions, so that left me in this place. Do you think it would be more reassuring to the American people for him to at some point say, this isn't working, we've made some bad decisions, here's how we pivot and get our folks out of there?
Yeah, Shannon, it's a good question. I think you've seen from the outset with the first speech that the president gave about Afghanistan when we saw the government fall that the buck stops with him. And he reiterated that message today in the East Room when he said that he is responsible for this mission and to carry it out in the next 5 days. Listen, this is a president who is the only president in recent memory as vice president who had a son serving in a combat zone in Iraq. I've seen the list that the president carries in his breast pocket when he was vice president of those dead in Iraq and Afghanistan, that he saw those updated numbers every single morning. So this president, obviously, these decisions weigh on him, and I think he's accepted full responsibility for carrying out this mission. Shannon, to your point, the American people support this pullout. Will there be questions about how this was carried out? Absolutely. Should there be oversight? Jason ran oversight for many terms in Congress. Absolutely. Should we call into question the intelligence? 100%. But let's finish this mission in the next 5 days and to call into question how this happened in the next couple of weeks and months to come. Absolutely.
Yeah, there are questions of whether we can meet that deadline. Senator Ben Sasse, a Republican, says this, Mr. President, there is a clear choice before you now. Either rip up the August 31st deadline and defend evacuation routes by expanding the perimeter around the Kabul airport, or by retaking Bagram, or leave our people behind in your retreat. Jason, almost nobody thinks August 31st is going to be the time we get everybody out who we told would be able to leave.
Well, it's an arbitrary deadline. It's one set solely by President Biden. He's the one that set that deadline, and he doesn't have to abide by it. Who's in control? This is the problem. Joe Biden thinks that the Taliban and ISIS-K and the others are in control. We're the United States of America. Americans are there. You take care of them first, Mr. President. I don't care what they say is going to be the deadline, or are you trying to meet some press deadline or something like that? Go out there and save Americans. That's what America wants to see. That's why the Marines are there. But when you don't give them the resources, set the mission, and then let them unleash all holy hell on them to go get those Americans, guess what? You get this appeasement, and you get this just, soft footing, and you get people killed. That's what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is doing. They said they planned for every contingency, and look what happened.
Well, we certainly wish that bell could be unrung, and the devastated families who have paid this price.
100%.
They're left with nothing but questions tonight. All right, panel, if you'll stick with us, we have a lot more to discuss in our ongoing coverage, so we'll come back to you shortly. And we're going to keep bringing you the very latest from Afghanistan as it comes in, and we continue our coverage. Plus, we're going to take a quick look at some of the other day's headlines, including breaking news from the Supreme Court, a brand new ruling on President Biden's eviction moratorium. That's next.